innocent deliberately. And therefore, my definition of terrorism is the systematic and deliberate attack, the murder, maiming, and menacing of innocents, of civilians, for political goals.
You have begun to expose to the world the source of terrorism, because he was in the anti-terrorist organization, and Israel seemed to be the first nation that was willing to stand up to terrorism and go in with guns blazing into this petty dictator, Idi Amin, and rescue your people. What is the source of terrorism? What have you found about it?
Well, the more we looked, the more we found out that terrorist incidents and terrorist groups are not just isolated, random groups around the world, that there is a major force behind most of these groups, and that is the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union has been arming systematically.
He's using America,
most of the terrorist groups that operate against the West. They've been training them on its own soil and on countries that are aligned to the Soviet Union.
Building the narrative here.
They've been giving them money, they've been giving them diplomatic pouches, safe havens, and so on. If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse. It would cease to be so menacing.
You mean to tell me the PLO, now, were terrorists? A PLO called us and said, we're not terrorists, we're freedom fighters for liberty and so forth. You're saying that the PLO are the major conduit of terrorism from the Soviet Union?
Yes, yes. It's not the only conduit, because Czechoslovakia and East Germany and Cuba are obviously...
Take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. And I think that people sitting right next door in Iran, young people, and many others will say, the time of such regimes, of such despots, is gone. There is a new age. Something new is happening.
And that is speculation on your part, or you have some evidence to that effect?
I was asked the same question in 1986. I had written a book in which I had said that the way to deal with terrorist regimes, well, with terror, was to deal with the terrorist regimes. And the way to deal with the terrorist regimes, among other things, was to apply military force against them.
The way we did in Afghanistan.
The way, for example, I want to answer your question.
I guess I'm running out of time, so I quickly was trying to get to. We've done, I think, what you proposed in Afghanistan, yet I haven't seen that sort of neighborhood effect.
There's been an enormous effect. The effect was, we were told that there would be a contrary effect. First of all, people said that there would be tens of thousands of people streaming into Afghanistan, zealots who would be outraged by America's action, and this would produce a counter-reaction in the Arab world.
But I think you're not saying that when you take an action like we did in Afghanistan, we're going to see all the other countries just fold.
No, what we saw is something else. First of all, we saw everybody streaming out of Afghanistan.
Action like we did in Afghanistan, we're going to see all the other countries just fold.
No, what we saw is something else. First of all, we saw everybody streaming out of Afghanistan. The second thing we saw is all the Arab countries and many Muslim countries trying to side with America, trying to be okay with America. The application of power is the most important thing in winning the war on terrorism. If I had to say, what are the three principles of winning the war on terror? It's like, what are the three principles of real estate, the three L's, location, location, location? The three principles of winning the war on terror are the three W's, winning, winning, and winning.
Narrative is king, and you've just listened to someone who understands that narrative is king in this ecosystem. And right now what is happening is America is trying to extricating ourselves from this entwined relationship where we don't have our voice. We didn't want to go into the Middle East. That was not us. Guaranteed it was not us. And what you're also seeing is, and I hope there are Christian Zionists watching this, because you all, just look at Netanyahu. You all have been groomed to be the face of Zionism and to take the blame. So if you have been listening to anything that I've been saying, and you have friends who are Christian Zionists who are putting Israel first, please sit down, grab a cup of coffee, talk to them. Because you want to know what? That's kind of how they groomed you guys. They maybe they came to your church and sat down and talked to you. Maybe they had dinner with you. Maybe they just sort of built a relationship with you over time, seeking the desire to influence your mind. I have one thing I want to show you. I come back to this piece that I found August 3rd, 1919. History of Zionism. Professor Jastrow criticizes. And this piece right here, it's a very important piece. It's down here. The one important statement in Lord Byron's letter is the expression of his opinion that attachment to the Zionistic cause will not affect the loyalty of Jews to the countries in which they dwell. Yet, such is the zeal of Zionists encompassing land and sea for converts that on the basis of non-committal statements which happen to be embedded in work on Zionism. So, what this is saying is that as far back as 1919, they were assured that Jews in other countries, that if they have founded Israel, the Jews in other countries would remain loyal to the countries that they were in, that there would not have to be any concern over loyalty. Now, isn't Trump purging his White House? I thought I saw something about that. Nick Fuentes posted something, and I am doing a little bit of a deep dive to see if that is accurate. We know that Canada is looking at their dual loyal citizens, and the entire West should be looking at their dual loyal citizens, because if you look at all the videos of Netanyahu talking about America dealing with the Middle East, what you see is he's using Americans at every juncture, whether it's American citizens who are American Jews, who are doing the birthright events that they do, going over to Israel, cosplaying what it is to be a soldier, and then actually going over there. And in some instances, some Americans are going over there and taking people's homes. So this is Netanyahu's plan for Christians in America. I'm going to say this one more time, because many of my family, they're Christians. They were raised to believe that protecting Israel was sacred, in essence. And listening to a gay person talk about what Israel is doing was not something. Well, let's put it this way. In 1995, someone gave me a read, and in that reading they said, no one in your family is going to listen to anything that you have to say. And the reason why they weren't going to be listening, obviously my family's black, is because the majority of them are Christian and raised in that ecosystem where they were taught, indoctrinated into believing that Israel comes first before Black Americans. And if you're Black and you're supporting what Netanyahu is doing, you are basically subverting yourself and your family. Please wake up. Please, please, please wake up. The first time I saw that video of Netanyahu sitting with the 700 Club, I want to tell you what I saw. I saw an intelligent man, a man putting a mark on another community and influencing them to view the world in a certain way. He's done it with Russia, he's done it with the Middle East, and he's doing it with he's tempting it with America too, quite successfully. So everyone needs to wake up and play different roles. Don't play the roles that they have handed you. Remember, they create a pretend world, and they've taught the Christian right how to do the same thing. Now you all have to decide, do you want to play the roles that they've given you? They have pitted white Americans against the black Americans in this country, narratively speaking.